Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. So if life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.SheilaMack.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
So if you are tuning in today and you have your own business, you want to share about what you do and get a larger audience, get more customers, writing your first book is the way to go for some people. So writing your first book is a map to get you the results you desire. But it is quite a map, so there are some steps that you need to consider before you decide to take on the process of writing the book, and that's what this show is all about. Again, later on in the show, we do have a special guest to share about collaborative book options as well. So let's get started with some of the pieces that you need to think about. First of all, you need to think about a few things. So many things to writing your first book. Turning your published book into a powerful introduction to your business and a sales tool will add massive success and revenue to your bottom line if done right. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and in today's episode, we are sharing a step-by-step process to help you leverage your book for business success. The first thing to do is to define your business goals. Before you can turn your book into a business tool, you need to know what your business goals are. Are you looking to generate leads and build your email list? Are you hoping to establish yourself as a thought leader in your industry? Or are you trying to increase sales of your products or services? Whatever your goals, be clear on them so that you can tailor your book and marketing efforts accordingly. Now, crafting your message. Your book should be more than just a story or a collection of information. It should have a clear message that aligns with your business goals. Take some time to refine your message and make sure it consists throughout your book. This message will become the foundation of your marketing efforts, so it improves your reach. It is important to get this right. And there is a whole other couple of podcasts I will be doing about how to make sure that your message in your new book or just in your business is aligned and matches up on all your social media and is consistent and congruent to the message that you really want to get out there. So the next step is to optimize your book for business. Now that you have a clear message and your business goals in mind, it's time to optimize your book to serve as a business tool. This can involve adding calls to action throughout the book, creating an author page that directs readers to your website, and even including special offers for readers who sign up for the email list. You can also create additional resources and materials that expand on the topics covered in your book, such as webinars, courses, or consulting services. So this may sound like a lot, and it really is. I've done quite a few collaborative books, and then I went ahead and wrote my own book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And I wrote that right before our pandemic, and we have had some crazy situations happen since then. So it has been very on point uh, about these times and about life, and how, when life happens, how to kind of course correct and get back on track. So I enjoyed the learning process. I did work with a publisher, and what I thought was going to take me a month or two with a professional book publishing company, they took it through an entire year process. So, you know, they're the experts, and I just put on my learning student hat and did whatever they told me to do. And it was quite different than what I first envisioned. But I'll tell you one thing, we had 5 editors. I have never had anybody come to me and say they found an error in my book. Everything is exactly what it needed to be, and there was no grammatical or spelling errors. The message came out clear. It became a bestseller. So that was the difference. The gift of time to get your message right and accurate is worth it. And just honor the fact that it's going to, if you're new to this, if this is your first book, if you're not really a writer, then give yourself the gift of time, but definitely schedule it out so that it gets done. That's really important. So, developing your marketing plan is another important piece. With your book optimized for business, it's time to develop a marketing plan that will help you reach your goals. This can include creating a social media strategy, running targeted ads, reaching out to influencers and bloggers, and even organizing a book tour or speaking engagements. The key is to be consistent and persistent in your marketing efforts so that your book becomes a powerful tool for generating leads and driving sales. So that's really, I don't care what business you're in the marketing business. Whether you're a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, you got to get clients. And when you're selling a book, it is the same thing. People, if you want to sell the book, or even if that book is a lead magnet, how are you getting it into people's hands? This is so important. It is vital. If you haven't heard my 2-part series interview with the legendary Jay Abraham, he is an incredible $21 billion marketing expert who speaks on Tony Robbins stages and everywhere else, and is incredible. So that is a good couple of episodes to listen to if you want some great marketing advice from the expert on that. But planning these things in advance is really important. So I actually kind of went a little backwards, but it was what I needed to do for my book. And that was that I went ahead and I knew my topic, so I created my book cover first. And I had 3 choices, and then I would share that with my friends and get input, so that we figured out the winning book cover. And then from there, I actually started marketing the book before the first chapter was written. And that made a big difference. And that started quite early in my year of writing. And then working with the publisher, there were certain things you wanted to do that I didn't know I needed to do, such as have people read your book, to then write about it right on the cover. I have quite a few incredible people that wrote about my book and did reviews beforehand. So that is also, there's all these steps that you don't think about that you need to think about. And so having them all kind of mapped out really, really helps. Now, To optimize your book for business, once you have your clear message and business goals in mind, it's time to optimize your book to serve as a business tool. So this calls to action that it involves, that I mentioned earlier, directing readers to your website, creating the special offers, ways to get them into your email list, all these things, every single piece needs to have a place to go. So that means, is your website ready? Do you have your funnels built? Do you have your free gifts? Do you have your tools ready? And so those pieces are a big part of how to take that book and then have those lead magnets in the book that actually lead people to get on your list and to actually take the next step. Maybe it's a free consultation, or perhaps it's a free guidebook on whatever your topic is for your company. I've worked with doctors, specialists, attorneys, and working with different people as a consultant. Their books have led them to far more clients. So you would think, how does that work? Well, it really worked well. I had one that does stem cells, and he did really well with his book and ended up having a radio show also. So that's a funny thing that happens. Books often can lead to a radio show or other appearances, podcasts. My book, once I had it published, I started my show. This is now 3.5 years into the show. And so I've had a blast with that. And you also have to think about your virtual book tour or your physical book tour, which is now started again. And you have to consider your time. So are you willing to spend the time and the money to travel? You know, you may want to do that. That might be the fun thing for you, or you may not. And thank goodness, in a way, for our changes, where now it is more acceptable and just part of what we do now to have online things and to tune in to YouTube and videos and radio shows, TV shows, podcasts. And so a lot of people have switched over to the virtual tours because you can actually get your message to more people that way, to get your book into the hands of more people. So that is something that's individualized to the book that you're writing, the goal of your book, whether it is for a business or if it's to publish the book itself. So that's a big thing to think about. And now when we go into the interview we have later on in the show, that's going to share about collaborative books. And like I said, I was in quite a few collaborative books beforehand. So if you're just starting out, you may want to just do a chapter in a collaborative book where somebody else is going to put the book together, is going to make sure the editing gets done, is going to have it in a format where it's on an aligned topic, so that everybody is talking about something similar in one book, and it's a bunch of different authors that come together. I did one book, Success. It was Success, a success team book with Steve Forbes was on the cover. And all of us, I think there was probably 30 people that contributed to chapters in the book, and we were all talking about different aspects of success. So it can be something like that, and it could be toward your field or interest. And so that is a great way to get started, and it brings you preeminence. It brings interest. It's okay, you're an author as well. You've written on the subject of your business. So it's really a good thing to do. And those are just a few of the pieces to how to do that. So really, it doesn't stop there. Once your book is written, you'll need to market and launch it effectively to ensure success. So that, I mean, there are some pieces to it. So I do have a special offer on my website. If you go to SheilaMac.com, you can learn more about that. And we have up at the top menu item, you will see a link that leads you on over to Writing Masters. And so that is a twice a month group that will be meeting if you are starting your book process and you want to have some accountability and guidance as you go through the steps, keep you accountable, which is really important, and guide you through the steps. It's not done for you there, but it is just a way to make sure you stay on track. And I also offer something really fun because I do have virtual tours where I interview authors when their book comes out. And so that's a great thing to do. The show goes on to NBC's KCAA radio. We have a coverage of 5 million, and then we also syndicate to other channels. And so there's about 780 different stations that pick it up, as well as all the major podcasting channels. So your message gets out to quite a few people. And that is something that I do offer as well. So check that out. You can learn more about that at SheilaMac.com. And again, just go up to the top tab and you will see there is the Writing Masters tab. And there you can learn about the virtual book tour. You can also, if you have a business and you just want to get on the show and share about what you're doing, then that's another option there where you can do that as well. And so that is it. And now we are going to have our special guest come on the show. All right, stay tuned.
Well, I'd love to say that the past 3 years has been a whole tough situation for me with COVID, personal life, professional life. When COVID first started to kick around, and I wouldn't exactly say it killed my business. No, it pivoted my business, what it used to be into what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, the past 3 years, I've kind of like learned a lot about myself in terms of some of the adversities and resilience that I've had to come over last year and again this year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. And even with those rental properties that are around, the rent's through the roof.
Right.
Probably paying way more than you should be. And health-wise, I'm not very good. Had a serious road accident last year. All I was doing was crossing the road, to tell you the truth.
Wow. Yeah.
All of a sudden, like I was walking across the road. I think I might have told you personally, Sheila.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But fell face forward, hit my face right on the curb of the road. Entire face was smashed in. It didn't look like anything like this. It looked like something out of a Michael Jackson's Thriller clip.
Wow.
It's like a snowball effect.
Right.
Once it happens, something else happens. Of course, we all have those moments, don't we?
Oh, we sure do.
And it's just a matter of what you do with those moments to actually help overcome those adversities. And
Yes.
a co-author in a number of books,
Mm-hmm.
talking about resilience, talking about overcoming adversities, that type of stuff. Well, I even wrote a book on one of them, so
Yes.
I'll probably show you. I'll share my
Yes.
my author link at the end of this.
Great. Yes.
Everything throughout COVID, everything during my tough times. The one little friend that kept me going the whole time was writing.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic and it's helpful, and especially I feel when you have a mission or a passion in your heart to get a message out. So for those tuning in that may have a message or a story they want to share, it's such a gift to be able to do that for yourself, but also for those that it affects in a positive way. And right now, I really believe that each of us doing our books, our messages, however we can, to change the energetics of our time and to help each other through this time in community is going to give us the freedom and peace and contentment. And it's one person, one author at a time that makes a huge difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Me and you have a friend in common. We do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very beautiful person. Big huge shout out to Aldwin.
Yes. Aldwin. Yes.
She's been a good friend to me throughout this whole process. Been my ear,
Mm-hmm.
a good support person.
She is. She's incredible. So, who we're talking about, we're going to give a shout out for Aldwin Altuni, and she is known as the media queen. And she helps people that have a message to get their message out more, to get advertisements, but like more like free public relations work so that you're able to be on different news channels, get interviews, and really get some exposure and share your message with the world. And so I met her back in 2020. I think it was right during our pandemic. And I had my first book here to come out. That's a solo book. I have lots of other books I've written with people. And so this was kind of fun. And I got to connect with these incredible friends from across the globe, all the way over in Australia, from Beverly Hills, California. And so it's kind of an incredible thing. And in a way, this difficult time has brought us all closer as a world, a global community in that sense, where we can support each other because we're all going through this very interesting shift right now. And so it's nice to be able to do that, but it was a big difference for businesses and authors, everybody. We had to course correct and change the way we do business for sure. Yes.
Exactly, because what you're doing, the best way to say it is to, like, if you want people to see you for who you are, people need to be able to trust you, people to be able to learn from you, and it's kind of like rapport building.
Mm-hmm.
There's the people that you're talking to. It takes about 7 seconds to form an opinion on someone. Not
Mm.
even that sometimes.
Yes. And you know what? People are so much more than 1 minute in time, 7 seconds. They're to look past our first impressions or thoughts and to have real conversations and connect with people on a heart and soul level and to really understand where each of us are coming from. We find that there's more similarities than differences, and that together, when we support each other in a positive way, it does shift that energetic, whether you believe in that energy stuff or not. It shifts what happens in our world. It's In fact, I went and got my nails done, nothing fancy, but I went in and that was the other day. And when I went in, we had a great conversation. There was a group of people there, and we were talking about how sometimes people can be very famous or very this and that, and they treat people bad, and other or very rich, whatever, and they treat everybody in a terrible way. And there's other people that can have the same amount of richness or fame or whatever you want to call it, and they treat people with compassion. And we all agreed that the only people we want to work with is those that are aligned, that have that heart, that have compassion for other people and treat everybody with kindness, because that is really going to be the most important. You wouldn't want to work with somebody that was unkind to others. That
So
would not be the goal. And so that was a big discussion we had at our spa, our little mini spa day. And so that it really makes a difference and it's important. And you could look in the world, you could listen to the news, and you could say, oh, there's bad people, there's terrible things happening. And you know what? There is good people, and there are good things still happening. And I love how Aldwin always shares her good news. And she has a good news that we share about almost every day. We share about our good news because that's what we want to bring. What you move toward is what you get more of. And so that's very important. Now, David, I'd love to hear about your title, the autistic author, and how you got into writing, and all about you and that
how I
passion of
got into
yours
writing.
with writing. Yes.
Well, I, I never I never actually saw myself as a writer at first. Before I started doing all this right now, of course, I was mentioning before, I was teaching computers to seniors, and I was doing a lot of teachings and trainings around different technology, different tech problems, different computer programs that are out there, everything. That was kind of like my work before. I still do some of it now, but not as much as I used to.
Yes, so that while he's looking, that is something, and I've enjoyed some fun collaborative books too. Here you go. So did you find it? Okay. Business Warriors. That's great. Wow.
Taking care of working women in the 21st century.
Nice.
12 people in that book.
Mm-hmm.
My chapter is on empowering women to get over that fear, take it upon themselves to learn technology, to
Right. Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? It is an interesting topic, women in the work world, and feel like I've always been an entrepreneur. I've owned many businesses, large, had up to 200 employees with my gift stores that were big department stores
yeah.
in California. And somehow people always complimented me on how I could be feminine and run gift stores. And it was interesting because I was raised with grandparents who were like my grandmother, and all my elders that were women ran businesses. So for me, they never lost their feminine, and that was normal, that a woman can run a business and also not have to be a man, or masculine, um, which can come in many forms, or feminine and masculine. It is not just man woman, but to be able to show up like that, I think it's almost like a learned thing. um, and I was around those people that were my elders, that were women that were, gosh, they were in their 70s, 80s, 90s when I was a little girl, and they were my mentors. They were my people that guided me. And so I looked up to them for examples. And they had beautiful businesses and just lovely people that were in my life. So it is a conflict, because many times you have to have one or the other. And David, I think that one of the things you brought up earlier is you talked about when you went through some tough times over the last 3 years, that it's kind of a snowball effect.
It
And
does.
I think that when we live long enough in life, we have tough things that happen, because we got fortunate enough to live long enough to go through, like right now we're going through historical crazy times. And we are not just our work. We are not just moms if we're women, or dads if you're, or whoever. We're more than just one thing. And there's
You
so
are
many.
a product of your own success.
Yes, and so how we show up in one area affects every other piece of our life. It's not just one piece. It's, you could have a great business, but if you're not aligned in the good energy of everything else in your life, or you're not doing, let's say you're not doing business in a beautiful way that's kind, then that's going to affect your physical health. It's going to affect your home life, your marriage if you're married, your relationships with your parents or your elders or your children. And so uh, when you get into an accident, or you get divorced, or you get married, or anything changes, whether it's the worldwide pandemic or something at home that happens, it
I
affects
made I
us.
made a joke about that the other day when I was talking to my wife.
Yes.
I said, we were just sitting there talking and all that, and all of a sudden I said, "What's COVID?"
Right. Yes.
It's surpassed us now.
That's right. That's right. And it does affect even the relationships, without the talks and the time, the gift of time to kind of readjust and stay connected when you're going through any kind of an upset, of an accident, anything that happens, it can throw us off. So when we're focused on just the negative, then we tend to bring more negative into our life. And so it's not like you can say, well, that didn't happen, because it did. So, tough situations happen. We have loss, we have sad things, and we have to say, yeah, we honor our emotions, but then we also focus on the positive ways to get to the next point in our life. And so that's a big thing. It really does. It affects every other piece. So now
Yeah.
getting back to your book, what was that first book you did? Was a group book? You signed up. What was the difference that you noticed? And what was maybe a part of what you wrote, or your favorite piece of the book, or advice from the book that you could share with the audience?
Advice from the book.
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying before, it's women's empowerment book. The best advice I could probably give out of it is like take the bull by its horns and ride that bull if you want to go somewhere or anywhere. Life is a highway.
That's good. I like that. That's important. So that's
Not just a song. It's still a direction to somewhere, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all about
Uh-huh.
overcoming those fears. Tell us a story about, exactly tell us what you're afraid of, and
Wow. Yeah.
and what you did to help overcome those fears.
It
And
is.
if you're still going through it, what are you doing for yourself to actually get out of that hole that you're in now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, that makes sense, because it is you versus you when you're in the way because of a fear. It's overcoming that fear. Procrastination is caused by fear. Why do we procrastinate? Fear.
Yeah,
It's terrible. And then when you actually go and do it, like I procrastinated, and then I finally did my taxes, and it's like, oh, okay. But whatever it is, every year I do that. uh, and and then it's like, oh, well, that didn't even take that long. That wasn't even that hard. But in my mind, I have to overcome that whole, oh, that's like a numbers, it's a lot of work, whatever. And so that's something that we all face in a little way. And the more you do it, go do the taxes or do that one thing you fear, the less it's like, oh, I faced the dragon and it wasn't that big of a deal. And then nothing, then it's like less of a fear, I think, but we still have what did we tell ourselves about gosh, I remember my family would always get very upset and stressed out during tax season. And I think that kind of stuck in my head. Taxes are hard, and and they had big businesses, so taxes were hard and it was complicated and whatever. And it was before we had the computer, which makes it super easy. So in my mind, I'm still hearing that story. So it's just changing. There's sometimes changing the name of something. Now, for me, it's a chore, and I will find somebody to talk to on the phone. I will get distracted. I will do other things. But if I say I'm going to decorate and design and make it really pretty and beautiful and comfortable and homey, I could do that for hours. It's still cleaning, but I just gave it a different word, and it changed my state and how I showed up to my house. If I can just make it pretty and make it beautiful, and it's like the different part of me shows up that loves to do that. And so
it's that mindset.
Mindset. And I thought, oh my gosh, how is that possible? I just switched one word of what I called something, and I made it fun. And I made it like something I want to do all day. And I'm looking forward to the next time I can go, make it prettier or whatever. And so, that's a big thing that I found that's really crazy, because it is mindset. It is. Yes. So now I'd love to hear a little bit more, David, about how your book works, or how this type of a book works as far as when you're getting different authors together to write a chapter in a book. How does that whole process go?
Well, having that right mindset thing to start off with.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to say it's kind of like when they say something's the visionary author for something, that means they have that vision that they want to bring to life. Like same for those other books that I've mentioned before, that that leadership book I was mentioning to you about. It's a product that I wanted to bring to life, because what is this exactly? It's like, how do you define leadership?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be creating a new book
Mm-hmm.
around different aspects of leadership.
Yes.
So,
Nice.
and that's how I'm bringing that to life as well. With that tech guide one I was telling you about, it's kind of like a sequel to another book that I've already done, which is also called Tech Guide as well, because I'm setting that up as a collection of tech guide books for the over 50s.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
it all comes down to like the messaging behind it, and talking to the right people that you want to get. You want to get the people involved in your book. It's called believing in yourself, believing in yourself, so other people can actually believe in products as well. So you could
Okay. Yep.
building that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying you would want to learn anything. Though, if you wanted to join in with our tech book, for an example, you would have to not exactly be good and fantastic at technology or anything. What would you say? Like, you could probably talk about what would you be your expertise in that area? In other words, it could be social media, it could be
Right.
mobile phones, anything techno.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you can say it's a very fun process, talking to people, collaborating with people, getting the right message out there to people, and
Yes.
it's just mind-boggling, like how some people actually do it. I've met people out there that just that do it well. It's very well. They can get 10 clients at the snap of a finger,
Right.
and you have some other people as well that might struggling getting one a week, or even one every 3 weeks or something.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes down to how well do you market it, how well do you sell it.
Yes. That is really important. That's an important point, David, because whatever business you're in a marketing business in a certain, that's what you got to do. And that means
Believe in
even
yourself, believe in the
if you're a
product.
stay-at-home mom or dad, you got to market to your kids to get on the chore list, or to get things done, or get to school and
Yeah,
get up early. All that is, it's all about marketing to a certain extent, no matter what it is that you're doing, because if you don't do that, you don't have clients. Or even at home, if you don't market it right to the family, it's not going to get done. So it does come down to marketing. That's so important. It
it
makes
is.
a difference. Yes.
All I can say is, once upon a time, it was all me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now I have a team.
That's great.
Now,
Yeah, that makes a
now
difference.
we're going forward in strides.
That is so good. And it takes time. How long did it take you to go from being the solarpreneur, the person that was the only one running everything in your book business, to actually being able to have that team? How long did that take?
A good while. I can tell
Yeah.
you that.
Yep.
No,
It
it's the magic word is trust.
does. Hmm. Finding the
You
right
have to
people.
have that trust.
Yes, and finding the right people to help you is vital, because you could easily throw money away, throw money in the wind, and goodbye money, because if you don't get the right people, if you don't get people that are aligned, that you understand what needs to be done. So that goes back to the describing about what you need, and putting it into a way that people understand how to do the job. uh, I know through my training with my businesses and my teams that I want everybody to emulate my, if my business, you're going to be me. When you're doing the teamwork, you're pretending like you're me. The quality of work you're going to produce, what you're going to show up like, is going to be like what I would do, because you're filling me doing that job. And I think the beauty of having a new business, for those that are just starting out, maybe you're starting a side gig and you're listening in, or a new business, or you want to get into writing books, or whatever it is, there is a beauty in the struggle of those first couple of years. There is the learning curve. And then with everything changing as fast as it is, we have to relearn things anyway. But there's something about knowing the pieces of what needs to be done, at least to a certain level, so that when you hire somebody, you know what that level is. You know what it takes. You know how many hours it's going to take. You know how you want it done right. And you have a good understanding of all those little pieces of the machine of your business. And that, I feel like, I kind of like that piece. And it's good for even our brains. It's good for learning and building the muscles in our brains, the synapses in your brains even. And I love that part of a new business. I want to learn everything about it. So it's, but then at a certain point, I am happy to give it to the right team and the right people, because I don't want to do it forever. But I do like to know all those pieces.
One thing I will add about that is that yes, I love doing the inside. It's a beautiful process with the people that you
Yes.
do. That's just one service out of the whole bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, like I was saying to you before, I'm a freelance writer as well.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that you could possibly see yourself needing those, like you know what they say, like everyone needs a writer for something.
Yeah, that's right.
Whether it's content writing, blog writing, CV writing.
Mm-hmm. It is. And you could be really good at your business, whatever you do, but are you a writer? Are you a marketer? Are you whatever it is? And that's where the experts come in and can help you do so much more than just yourself. So when you get to the point where you're able to hire, it is so important to do some homework and get the right people that are aligned with what your goal is, and your pricing and everything else to start out. They can really help you go from one level to the next in your business. So I think about years ago with starting my small, well, they were large gift stores. And I finally hired, after the first, I guess it was about 5 months, I hired a marketing person, and they did the copyright and the marketing. And I hired somebody. I was very young, and I had a budget, and I had a very big expensive lease, 5,000 a month back when I was 23. So it's a lot of money even now, but back then it was like, whoa, how much? And I had to figure out how to market. I thought I was just selling gifts and beautiful things at the store. No, no, you got to market. And I had to learn that. And I wanted somebody to hire that would teach me the ropes. I wanted to know, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? I wanted to be able to do it myself and not just depend on the marketing person, but work with them when the big sales would come on, and then do the in between. And that's the person that I hired. And then whoever is putting it together is the one that does all those other pieces. You may pay for parts of those pieces, but it gets done for you. And that's way easier than starting off with your own book by yourself. When you're starting, it's really good practice. I did a bunch of collaborative books with different people as I was learning, and before I was ready to write my own book. And so it was good. Yeah. And I, had a deadline. I had to get this chapter in, and it was exciting, and I got it done at the last minute. And they had one, actually, like, somebody dropped out and there was an opening, and I was like, I'll take it, and I can do it in the last minute. And I got it done, and it was so exciting and fun. But they did all the pieces. I didn't have to do that. Like I said, I was traveling, I was working, speaking and traveling full time. So I didn't have time to do the pieces, and I didn't even know what those pieces were. But I loved my contribution chapter, and it was a blast. So, yeah, good experience. Definitely. So, David, now how can people connect and learn more about your books and about your opportunities for the collaborative books in the future?
People watch on through Facebook, because I have my own Facebook page and Facebook group. I've already shared one link with you already.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, all right. So then this is a link here, and I will put that in the show notes for us. And let's see.
Yeah.
Comments, private chat. I don't see the link.
You know?
No. Let's see here.
It's in that email that I sent you.
Oh, on the email. Okay. All right. Okay. I see. All right. So I do have a link that I will share in the notes. And also, if you just look up David Vine on the Facebook, you'll see the Facebook groups that he has going on with writing, and so that'll be good. What is the name of your groups then? Is it under your name?
Story Time Academy.
Okay, that's great. So that will be wonderful. And it is a good way to just learn and get started. Get out there and do your first chapter in a book, in a collaborative book. And it really helps with your business, just getting preeminence, getting the word out there, sharing a message, and it saves a lot of time and work. My book that I wrote, I worked with a two different publishers, and and it took a year.
The autistic author.
Okay, David Vine, the autistic author, and
Yeah.
there you will find more about how to join if you're interested, and to read some of his great books as well. All
Yeah.
right.
You can
Well,
probably see why I probably wrote that because yes, I am autistic.
yes, yes. And how does the autistic part, how does that play into your writing and your world and all
Oh,
that?
that's why people that are autistic see the world differently.
Mm-hmm.
Makes us better eyes.
Yes.
Not everything's. We don't want to be pigeonholed.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be. Some people see it as a disability, but really it's not. It's what you call, our mind's there. No, there's nothing taken out of our mind.
No, it's different, and in many ways much better and more precise for sure, in different ways. Beautiful, creative, incredible, brilliant, genius way that I guess the neurotypical, I guess the everyday people struggle with. Some of the pictures and the visions and the things that you can get to, because our brains process differently if you're divergent or neurodivergence, I guess it is. and 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 everybody, you know what, we all have a different, like, there's the autism spectrum. We may all be on a different piece of that in one way or another, and never know. But if you feel different, it's usually for a good, better reason. And it's all needed, like you said, the pieces of the puzzle, we all need to come together, because everybody's contribution to the puzzle makes a beautiful picture. We need all the pieces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how I feel
You know what
about
I'm
it.
trying to say though? No, it's we don't. No, it's our brains together. In other words, no, there's nothing taken out of us to signify that we have a piece.
Yeah, yeah. And there's other pieces that work incredibly better than the average bear. That's what I've found for sure. And so that's important to remember that, and learn from that. And I think that there's a lot of things that when you're, I mean, I have 6 kids, and some of them are on the spectrum. A couple, uh, I adopted and have 3 of my own, and adopted some more in with situations that happened, and I got to adopt. So with that, I learned a lot of, I guess, I wouldn't say coping, but different strategies in order to have success, in order to use the strengths that you have, um, as a really positive way to get through the other difficulties that come with that. So it's there's two sides to it, and when you get those together, it's a beautiful thing. But it does take work to get that all together for sure. And I learned a lot as a mom, um, through that whole process. It was a beautiful gift for me, definitely. Yes. Well, that's really cool, David. And
In a nutshell.
yes, yes, I love it. All right. And so, all those listening in, again, you can look for David Vine, the autistic author, and he is on Facebook, and there's some incredible Facebook group help there for anyone that is looking. Maybe you're considering being an author, writing into a collaborative work as a group, to make it easier.
One to share your story.
Yes, that sounds great. And also just just to read some of his books that have already been published. All right. All right. Well, thank you again, David, for being a special guest on the show.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure meeting you too.
It was a pleasure to have you as a guest. And thank you again for tuning in. For those tuning in, we'll be back after these messages. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and I have some news for you. Yes, you. I'm celebrating my 3rd year now on the station and will be expanding the show to a global network as well. You may now find the Sheila Mack Show on all major podcasting channels, and if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, all the episodes are now available for viewing there as well. And I'm asking you for a quick favor. If you like the show, please help support the spread of this reboot channel on YouTube as well. My goal is to help as many people as possible through our interesting times to rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business and personal life. I also wanted to share a little bit more about how I got here, what I do now, and how designing a business career and life on your terms is more than possible at any age or stage in life. I am an enterprisingly forward-thinking consultant, show host, and best-selling author. But how did I get here? Well, I began my career as an entrepreneur and property investment strategist back when I was 23 years young, when I boldly quit my government job with NASA JPL to open my first of 5 large gift stores while also starting to invest in property. I got to work with some of the world's most loved companies, such as negotiations on leases with Warner Brothers and winning trips to London as the top-selling Crabtree and Evelyn provider in the U.S. for multiple years. My stores were built on heart as I gave back to the community I came from. So now, some of you know this and some of you don't know this, but as a young girl with parents who were not well enough to care for me, I was homeless at age 10, then in foster care, where it was really hard to get a job while in the system. I finally emancipated at the age of 15 to start college early. While running my stores, I worked with a government program. Back then, it was called Job Training Partnership Act, making my stores an open source training site where close to 200 at-risk youth started their careers. Yes, I began my career helping business leaders and working professionals to design a life they love where they can have success in their careers and get to the business of life. See, a funny thing happened along the way. When I first opened my gift store, it was kind of crazy because I was this young upstart. That's what a lot of the store owners called me. My first store was in Montrose, California, in this sweet little hometown shopping park with other stores and restaurants nearby. And so I was the young upstart that didn't know what she was doing. At least that's what everybody said. And I didn't really care what they said. At that age, their opinion was like, I don't really care. So that was probably a really good thing because I stayed focused on what I needed to do. And I had negotiated to lease out a 5,000 square foot gift store that needed a lot of work, and I got free rent and for about 6 months, and I had to start making the rent, which was $5,000 a month, which was a lot of money back then, $1 a square foot. And so I had to learn and relearn. I finally did hire quite soon in the game. I did hire a marketing expert, branding expert, I guess back then, and that lady really helped me to figure things out when I first started. And when you first start a business, especially when you're young, it was like I had no idea what to do, but I needed to learn because my rent was going to start coming due every month. And over that time, I started having more success. I did crazy things, like stayed open until almost midnight every night, along with the restaurants who were very close to my store, while everybody else closed shop at about 5 or 6 p.m. So I was making more money from the start, and I just really, my store was to help my kids, and the products I sold was whatever the community wanted. I sold lots of things to people in the entertainment industry. I worked with cruise ships. I worked with many different people in the community. And later on, the store owners actually came to me and asked me if I would consult them and help them. I actually started buying my other buildings because I didn't like the idea. Tune in again right here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.SheilaMack.com today.